What's up, youth? I'm Caleb, and I'm here at the Porcupine Health Unit to talk to Kaiden Hardy about the Planet Youth Initiative. What exactly is Planet Youth, and what is your role in it?
Yeah, so I am the Planet Youth Timmins coordinator. So what that means is I coordinate all the activities at Planet Youth, all the community engagement, all of the collaborations, and I also lead our community coordinating team and our community coalition. And so to answer your question about what Planet Youth is, it's a primary prevention process model, which is essentially a lot of words to show that we are essentially implementing activities and trying to create a better future for young people locally. So that looks like increasing opportunities, identifying opportunities for them and things to do for them. And we do this by engaging with the community and collaborating with the various organizations and various agencies. We have a coalition of over 12 community partners. We have partners within the Canadian Mental Health Association, the City of Timmins, the Youth Wellness Hub, all of the school boards, and a whole other, the Neofax as well is included in our coalition. And we have basically any agency or organization who is serving young people and who might have a voice in when it comes to Planet Youth and the activities that we're planning. And so basically an example of activities, Planet Youth is, when I mentioned it's a process model, there's 10 steps to this.
Okay.
And within those 10 steps, there's various opportunities for engagement with young people.
Right.
So we're looking at overall reducing substance use among young people and improving health outcomes. And how we do this is by addressing risk and protective factors.
Okay.
So risk and protective factors are, so for example, risk factors are the things that make a young person more likely to engage in risky behaviors, and protective factors do the opposite. They allow them to be to basically enhance the protective factors that are within their environment.
Right.
So things like good sleep, positive relationships with their peers, access to recreation. And so that's one of the activities that we're looking at with Planet Youth, is being able to increase access to recreation for young people locally, because what we heard from young people is that they don't really have a great idea of the services, the programs, the activities that are available to them. And so our goal with this is to identify those gaps and be able to amplify what's working. So basically strengthen what's already out there and try to increase the awareness and the visibility of these programs and these services, while at the same time filling any gaps that we identify along the way. Planet Youth. It's based on the Icelandic prevention model, which is like I mentioned, that primary prevention process model. And the goal with this is to stop problems before they even arise.
Right.
And so how we do that is based off of local data. So in October of last year, we went into all of the high schools and we surveyed all grade 10 students and asked them a ton of questions about their lifestyle in 4 domains. So we were looking at the family domain, we were looking at their peer group, school, and leisure/community. So looking at how a young person spends their time outside of school. So what we just talked about with increasing opportunities for recreation kind of fits into that leisure community sphere of influence. And the whole point of the IPM was originally designed to address substance use rates in Iceland because they were among the highest in Europe.
Really?
Yes, and within 20 years they became the lowest. By implementing strategies that we do and following the Planet Youth model, they were able to get to the lowest substance use rates in Europe. But these things take time. It's a long-term investment. We're looking at complex issues, right? And so we want to, like I mentioned, stop those problems before they arise and just make sure that young people in our community have other ways to feel a part of a group, have other ways to feel good in the community, because it's not always just about increasing access to opportunities, but making sure that the opportunities they do have are of high quality. So making sure that we're embedding things like skill building, character building. Hopefully we're developing youth to become community leaders themselves within this work. And so it's a lot of, through our data collection, we learned what the risk and protective factors were among young people. So we were able to kind of approach this from that locally relevant lens, looking at things as a Timmins person who lives in Timmins or a young person who lives in Timmins. But we can only do that when it's community owned, right? So looking at this, the parents, the educators, the coaches, the young people themselves, they are experts in their own community. And so that's why we turn to them. We say, here's the situation, here's the local substance use status, here's the local status of youth wellness, because we have expanded the approach to be more holistic. We're looking at all areas of youth wellness in general.
Of course.
And so what we do with that data then is take this back to our partners, those people I was talking about, those coalition organizations that we work with, and say, how are we going to identify these areas that we need to prioritize in our community? And are we going to build actions based off of this? And we do this as this collaborative effort. So bring the right people together to the table and to discuss these things and really tackle it from that community perspective.
Okay.
So there's not necessarily a focused audience that we're looking at. We do surveys among 15 and 16-year-olds.
Right.
And that's only because we know that substance use trajectories tend to begin around that age range, so that grade 10 area. However, when we develop activities and when we create our action plans, we're looking at all of the younger cohorts as well, because like I mentioned, we want to stop these things before they start. So we
Right.
want to provide these opportunities in these other areas and increase and enhance these protective factors from a very young age, so that by the time we reach adolescence and adulthood, we don't want to turn to substances and we actually have other ways to feel good in the community.
Of course.
So there's not necessarily any activities or programs or services that we offer for young people, but we want to hear from young people.
Right.
So the best way to do that is obviously to be as open and transparent and honest as you can if you do get to the age of grade 10 where you're completing our surveys, which we do every 2 years, by the way.
Oh, really?
So that we can get that really up-to-date information, because
Of
in a young
course.
person's life, things change on a whim, right? Next week we might have new interests.
Yes,
So it's very
I am
important
very
that
aware of that.
Exactly. So it's really important that we stay relevant when we talk about our data. And so for that reason, we do it every 2 years. So one of the ways you can be involved without doing much is just showing up to school on the day of the survey. And we'll be able to promote that when the time comes. Our next survey is scheduled for October 2025.
Mark that in your calendars.
Absolutely. And so that's one of the ways, but other ways to be involved is we're looking for young people to join our action teams. So if you do have an interest, if you do want to have a say in the ways that action plans and priorities are identified within our coalition and within our action teams more broadly, then you can always reach out to us through our website, planetyouthtimmins.com. There's a contact us page. There's also a section where you can learn all about the IPM and the Planet Youth approach and ways to get involved as well.
Right.
So you can absolutely come to the health unit and talk to our receptionist and mention you're here to talk about Planet Youth Timmins and learn more about the approach, and you'd like to speak to the Planet Youth Timmins coordinator. So that way they'll probably connect you by phone to me and we could chat and discuss an opportunity to meet and connect a little bit more and just decide exactly how we're going to move forward together,
Right.
or other ways that you might be able to fit into the Planet Youth model. Health unit is downtown. Our address is 169 Pine Street South. Traditionally, young people have been excluded from decisions that affect them. And so what we want to do with Planet Youth is make sure that they're a part of these decisions and that their voices are heard at these tables where decisions are being made that directly affect them and indirectly affect them.
Right.
So young people are experts on young people. They are young people themselves. They have things to say and they have great ideas, and we want to amplify those. I think it's important to recognize that not everything is up to the youth themselves with Planet Youth. Like, we're not putting the responsibility on young people and
No,
saying,
I wouldn't
just-
expect you to.
Exactly, right? We know that the adults are the responsible ones to do these things, but we can't get to that place unless we have that youth perspective.
Right.
So if you'd like to get involved, if you see us out at community events, feel free to come chat with us, browse our report, visit us at planetyouthtimmins.com if you'd like to be involved a little bit more formally, like part of our coalition or part of our action teams. And essentially those are the best ways to get involved, and you don't have to be super committed. If you're a young person and you're like, I don't really want to be meeting with you every single week or anything like that, it could literally be as easy as telling your friends about this model and talking about it. So that's essentially what we're trying to do here, is challenge assumptions with the data that we have and make sure that we are being local and relevant when we're developing interventions and prevention efforts. And that will come as well with the action teams. They're designed to identify those priorities and design interventions and prevention efforts based off of, at the end of the day, it's always coming back to what we heard from our local youth. Even with the report, right? It doesn't mean you need to take this report and work with it and try and analyze it. It can be as simple as giving people things to think about when they're having conversations with young people.
I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with me and share what it is Planet Youth does.
Of course.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I really enjoyed talking with Kaiden, and I'm really appreciative of the work they do, and I'm glad that I was able to talk to her and learn about what exactly they do. If you want to know what else is available for you in Timmins and or South Porcupine, we've got a bunch of episodes already and more episodes coming out every Friday.